Hey guys, Phoenix here and welcome back to another review, except today it's not really a review, it's basically part 2 of me reviewing the U2's Vanny plush, except today I'm going to be comparing it with the Funko Vanny plush which we've got here, and it's going to be talking about the differences, similarities, what's better, what's worse, and what each of the features that the two of them have. So the first thing I'm just going to say is that this isn't actually like 100% the original Funko plush. As a lot of people might notice, this has been slightly modified. It's got like the stitching marks all over her, mainly just on her ears and on her body, but other than that it's exactly the same. I don't have another Funko Vanny plush that I could use which is 100% accurate, because the only other one I have is this one, but this is even more modified. It's got even more stitching and it's got wires in the ears and stuff, but this is my one. I'm using this one from Little Chick 896. She lent it me for this video, so thanks to her, and link to her channel will be in the description. Yeah, this is the closest I'm going to get to the original. So let's start comparing. So obviously the first major thing is, I think, basically the pose. So this is more of a traditional FNAF plush which everyone's used to, whereas this is a unique look where she's obviously sat like this. U2s tend to do this pose for the plushies. They haven't done it with all the FNAF plushies. I think she's the only one that they've done this pose with. Whereas with Funko, obviously all of the FNAF plushies, apart from exceptions like Baby or Stanley or people like those, have this body type. Alright, so let's actually get properly started off with the face. So the first thing I want to say is obviously the eyes, which in terms of accuracy, I guess you'd have to give to Funko, just because it is more similar to the eyes from the game. But that's obviously understandable on U2's size, because it's the stylized eyes that they always do. And I obviously prefer these eyes, because these, I think the main criticism everyone had about the Funko Vanny plush is that it just looks sad. Like, she doesn't look like menacing. Even if you tried to, like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Even if you tried to make her look angry, you just can't. She just makes her look dumb. So she doesn't look menacing, she doesn't look angry, she just looks dumb and sad, which is just, you know, not the expression you really want for a character like Vanny. The next thing is the mouth, which the U2's plush did a lot better on. This, it doesn't even have one, it's just the muzzle, whereas with the U2's one, it's got the big smile, it's got the open mouth, it's got the buck teeth. It just looks a lot better, because this one you can't really tell the expression it's pulling, whereas obviously this one, it's smiling like Vanny actually does. The U2's plush has bunny whiskers here coming out of her muzzle, whereas this one just doesn't, which Funko tend to not do with any of the plushes. The bow tie on the U2's plush is so much better. It's game accurate. It's got the little ribbons coming out the bottom of it, whereas this one doesn't. It's the correct colour, and pretty much everything about it is just a lot better than the Funko one. Something that the Funko one actually did right though, compared to the U2's one, is her little eyebrow things here, or the little, I'm not sure what you call them, but I just call them eyebrows even though they're not really. Although on here they're not great, they're at least embroidered and they're in the right positions and they just look, you know, at least they're there. Whereas with this one, they're not here at all. It's just, there's nothing there. It's a small feature that I'm surprised they didn't include, because it's not hard to do, but yeah, it's just not there. An inaccuracy on both of the plushies is that Vanny actually has like a mark here, is like where a split where the stitches are. I'm not sure if there'll be a render of that on screen, so I'll probably just put a screenshot from my model. It's got like, it's basically a sewing patch that goes right down the side of her face here, but neither of the plushies did that. So no points for either of them on that one. And lastly, for the head on the U2's plush, they actually did like the sewing marks here, like the stitching, whereas obviously on this one, although you can see it, that's just because it was edited on, she doesn't have that like going all around. Like on the differences here, just imagine these where they just wouldn't be. That's what she looks like on the front and the back. And even on the back, like the U2's plush does it a lot better. It actually stays game accurate and going all the way around to her muzzle. Whereas this one, it just goes to the bottom and then it cuts off at the head, then is miraculously here and then just goes down. It's just not accurate. Very quickly while we're here, I'll just add this. She actually has her, like how she gets into the suit basically, where it's stitched at the back on the U2's one, whereas this one doesn't. Then the next bit that the U2's plush does absolutely miles better is the ears. Here you can actually see it's basically the correct colour. If it's very similar, if not. It's got the sewing patches and they're posable, which is literally probably the best thing about this plush in my opinion. Whereas this one doesn't. Again, picture it without this. The colour's different. For some reason this is yellow. I don't know why they did that, because although it is a slightly different colour to the white on the model, it's not that different enough to make it that big of a yellow. So I guess it's inaccurate on here if it's the same colour. I guess it should be a slightly different colour, but I'm not going to fault them on that because it's such a small difference. But yeah, for some reason on the Funko plush she has yellow here and yellow on here as well. I don't get why, because it's just wrong. And because I really don't like how Vanny looks with her ears sticking up that much, I edited my plush to have them stuck down with wiring, as I said earlier. And I edited these two markings on, which actually the U2's Vanny doesn't have. Obviously neither does the Funko one, I just edited these on, but on the model she has these patches here, but the U2's plush didn't include that, so that's an inaccuracy on both of them. Another thing I just want to point out is that I'm not sure whether they had the official model when they were making the Funko Vanny plush, because there was a lot of changes in the design, or not a lot, but like small things. Like if you look at her hand here, you can see on the Funko plush it's like a bright pink, whereas here it's like a, I don't know what, it's like a dark reddish purple with obviously the pink pattern, and it's also got it on her waist here. So whereas on here you can see this is actually, the U2's one is very game accurate. This is the colour that she has on her hand and on her waist, but on here it's a weird pink. It's like it's a much lighter pink than it actually is. But if you look on the first time we saw Vanny officially in this concept art, she does have this colour scheme on her hand and on her waist. So I'm not sure whether they just had to go off this for the plush because maybe the model wasn't ready, but I'm not sure. So either way, obviously the U2's plush beats it on that just because it's game accurate, but you can't really fault them too much if the model wasn't ready or if Funko didn't have the model to use as reference and only that piece of artwork. So the Funko Vanny plush has this here where it's like a separation on her stomach, whereas on this one it actually doesn't. But obviously if you go like under the bow tie where it would be, I'm sure they wouldn't put in the effort just to do that when you're never going to see it, because the bow tie covers it, her hands cover it, and where it comes up to on her leg, I think it comes up to there. There'd just be no point in making that on this plush, so I'm not going to fault them for that. But that is an inaccuracy when you compare the two. She's got this pattern and she's got like the black splits here in between her toes, whereas this one is just completely blank. And the U2's plush actually has a tail, which the Funko one doesn't, but that's kind of, the way they've done it is kind of inaccurate because it looks nothing like this. If you saw my review on this, you saw that I said it should probably be something like that, more of a traditional bunny tail. But either way, the Funko one just doesn't have one at all. So this is a very small nitpick here, but the eyelashes on her eyes should be black. They're not red in game, whereas this one does, it is black, and they gave her 3, which is more accurate because I think she has 4 in game, whereas this one has 2. But again, this is much more of a stylized look. I'm not sure how it would look if you had this as red and then little black bits coming off. Maybe it'd look better, maybe it'd look a little bit worse. I'm sure it doesn't really matter, it's such a small detail. But technically this is more accurate. Again, this whole thing is just going off of accuracy because obviously that's the main part of the plush that you should be looking for when you're buying it. But yeah, that's pretty much comparing the two. Now you've got to remember that this costs around £10, $10, depending on obviously where you're getting it from. On eBay, I guess $15 to $20, can go up a lot more. It could be like 30, 40. That's just how some people sell it for. But I think retail price, this is around $10 to $15 for the Funko Vanny plush. So you've got to consider that. Obviously this is much more of a premium plush. I'm pretty sure it's $30 plus postage, and it's a bit bigger as well. Obviously I can't even fit her in frame. She's about to here, whereas she's all the way up there. So you've got to consider that. Obviously she was never going to be as good as the U2's one just because of how much they cost. They're just in different price margins, so that's just something you've got to consider. But overall, that doesn't give Funko the excuse to make the plush how they did. It's one of the worst plushes in my opinion that they've made, obviously besides like Stanley and stuff like that. It's just very inaccurate. She doesn't have a massive smile, she doesn't have a big bulging eyes that aren't sad, she doesn't have a big flopping ears, she doesn't have a little ribbon, she doesn't have a bunny tail. There's just so many inaccuracies, which is why when the U2's one got revealed I was so happy and I was so excited, because I don't know if anyone knows this, but Vanny is my favourite FNAF character and has been for a while. So obviously I care a lot about the merch that she receives, particularly the plushies, since that's the type of FNAF merch that I actually care about and buy. So yeah, that was comparing these two plushes. Obviously the U2's one wins by a landslide. I think if I put the model in the middle and then I say which is more accurate, which represents the character best, which looks better in general. Obviously you're going to say the Youtooz one. So yeah, that was comparing these two. Let me know what you think about the plushies. Let me know if you actually think that the Funko one is better. I'd be very surprised. I'd be very interested to hear your points on that. But yeah, that was comparing these two plushies. I'm not going to be doing a review for a while, I don't think, so I don't think I've got anything else to review apart from the Security Breach files here, but I don't think I'll review that just because it's a book. Obviously, if you want to get a preview on that, you can look on my Instagram. I posted some pictures. Bringing back in my Funko Vanny plush, you're probably not going to be seeing this ever again, or probably not ever again, but like for a very long time, because I've used it for shorts. I'll put them on screen, the stuff that I've used her in. I've used her in a lot of stuff, just because obviously this is the Funko plush. This is the only plush she had. But now we've got this, which is just 10 times better. So any Security Breach shorts or Vanny shorts to songs or anything that I use, it will always be her just because she's better. So although that's a lot better for her, unfortunately we're going to have to say goodbye to this one, which in a way is kind of sad, because obviously although she's not a good plush, she's still, you know, with all the modifications that I've made, you know, all of the markings and the floppy ears, she's not terrible. And yeah, she's been a really good character for all the stuff that I've used her in. So unfortunately it's her time out of the spotlight, but I've got some stuff coming up very soon with this girl, and I can't wait to use her. I've got some songs that I'm definitely going to use her for, some classic Security Breach songs, and some other cool stuff that I plan on doing in the future as well. If you want to see my full review on her, the link will be in the corner and at the end of the video if you want to check that out. But yeah, other than that, I've got nothing else to say. Look, Jesus Christ, there's so many Vannies. And I will see you in the next video.